Hey everybody, it is AniSaturday and we are doing a TIE event. Wait, no, hold on. That's like saying rest in peace in peace. It's a total immersion event. That
Right.
was that was bad of me. What a great way to start this episode off. It's been a while since you've heard our voices most likely. I am
Oh,
Matt and I'm here along with.
Tristan.
Well, it has been a while, right? Since we
It
both
has been.
podcasted and also done an AniSaturday. What was
I just
the
thought you were going to cut that and start again, but you rolled with it, so I was like, oh, all right, we're still going.
No. We have the highest quality here.
Nice.
I would never cut that. So we're talking about Cosmo Samurai. We've talked about a lot of different TIE stuff back in the day, and it's always interesting now that we've moved to literally 2021 for the TIEs. We're talking about them not as they happen, mind you, because Cosmo Samurai 2 just happened last month. We are over a little over a year late. But here's the thing, though, for all of you longtime listeners, you know that we're very timely.
Yeah.
The fact that it's only over a year,
Right?
only. Um, but when it comes to the other TIE stuff that we talked about, it's just so interesting. All jokes aside, though, that these started when you and I were kids. The first one was in 2000, so we were both 8 at the time. Now we're 29. This came out when we were 28. So, how fascinating is it? Like, what are your thoughts on? Well, no, this didn't come out when we were 28. It's very late here as we're recording. But the point is that what are your thoughts on this and kind of the evolution of TIEs and are they still events for you, even though we're pushing 30?
I mean, I guess I would say it's not as much of an event for me as it used to be when I was younger, but like I'm still glad that they're going on, and like I like to see, like I like when we do these because we can go back and see what they've been doing with Toonami just for ha-has and to feel good about it.
And it's always so funny because they started off like, oh, let's 20 years back, or at the time I think we were starting these in 2017, 2018, so it was like 17, 18 years back, let's see what they were doing. Now it's like, yes, so during right before that pandemic, during the pandemic, here's what they were doing in the on the Toonami.
Here's what they did last year.
Yeah,
Oh God, there was a last year? Yes.
there's a last year and a this year, and they were combined, I think. I don't know.
Time is an illusion.
Yes. So we are going to look at the schedule as we talk about this, but I do feel the same way in that, of course, they're not the huge event that they used to be, especially because back in the day, the reason why they were an event for us growing up isn't just, oh, nostalgia. For anyone who might not have experienced them, looking back on it, either they're younger or they just never really experienced it at the time, it was the fact that something like this, as far as we knew then, and I still think even to this day, hadn't really been done, i.e., having a talk show host type character have his own event that also ended up crossing over into the digital realm, the digital world, of having online video games. That
Yeah.
was unique. I'm not saying that no talk show host ever had some kind of ongoing plot storyline joke with their own little show and stuff like that and skits and whatever. I feel like that's very Conan-esque, but still, I'm not saying no one had ever done that. But to have that tie into games that could quote unquote influence the story was very unique, and I just I'm obviously something like that could and probably has been done today, but at the time, especially when computers were so new to a younger audience like myself and like Tristan, that was very interesting to have that crossover. And
Yeah.
so so that's the way I see it nowadays. It's obviously they don't really have the games. They do have some. I think some of them have had games, but not all of them do. And you and I both work, so we're not always at home at the exact time, stuff like that. So it's not as much of an event as it was when we were watching it coming home from school. And again, part of that's nostalgia, part of that's just the right place, the right time. But in this case, though, I agree with you wholeheartedly in that they're still fun. And I'm very happy that they've shifted over to doing animated specials because I don't really think every year they have to change the way Tom looks or the way the ship looks. It's like they don't have to spend that kind of money for him to just say, I don't want to say the same, I don't want to be pessimistic here, but the same exact things that he's going to say every week, depending on the anime that they're doing. they don't need to just, change the entire setting around. And what would he even do at this point based on every single thing that he's done so far? Like, you can take a few years off.
Yeah, Tom's been through the ringer.
Tom's been through a lot. He can just watch some anime. We can watch some anime with Tom, the original Let's Player, basically. Just the original Let's Watcher. Reaction channel. That's just Tom, basically. And just chill with them, and then maybe like in I would argue 2024, because if they do one next year, Cosmo Samurai 3, wrap it all up with the trilogy. I haven't seen the second one, but still, from the way this one looked, obviously it was meant to have a sequel, the way it ended. If they do a third one, that would be nice, and then they could kind of move back into, oh yeah, let's, change things up with Tom's appearance and give him some big world-shattering event or something.
Yeah. I feel like it's nice to like space those out like every, I don't know, 2 or 3, maybe not much as 5, but like space them out a little bit more.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, like it's nice to have an event like this where it's just a fun outing, I guess.
Yeah, it's non-canon, which it was really strange that had to be clarified, because I was like, it's animated.
Yeah.
And you even mentioned Tom, it was his older design from the looks of it.
Which I think a lot of people are very nostalgic for that older design, so it was cool to see that like animated in this style.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. I'm actually checking out the schedule at the time. This is what was going on at the time, and let me make sure I get it exactly right, because it aired February 6th to February 27th of 2021. A reminder, Tristan, we are in the year of our Lord and Savior, Kazuma Kiryu, 2022, and it is March of 2022.
And this was split up into
4 parts, actually.
4 parts?
Yes,
okay.
I thought it was 3 as well. Sorry, I misled you for the podcast. I did a bit of research before we actually went live. It was 4 parts, and the reason why we don't know this, if you're a bit confused, for once, at least for me, it feels as if it's for once, because they don't always do these. They actually threw the entire episode or the entire TIE on Toonami's like YouTube channel. So not just in parts, also you don't have to like scour the internet to try to find parts of it, because of them just not really, them airing it and then being like, well, good luck, I guess. They actually have them not just in parts, but also in full on their YouTube channel. So that's why Tris and I are a little thrown off, because it was a 13-minute runtime spaced over 4 parts. And I do think that it would have been much better as 4 parts, but because it was just one full video, I just sent it to you, Tristan. I was like, just watch the video. I'll watch the video. And it was fun, but I do think that even though we know Tom's going to be okay, but the actual, the worry that like, oh, what's going to happen to Tom? How is Tom going to be saved? Split into 4 parts, I think would have been, better than just one long running continuous story. I feel. Not that it was awful, but that it would have been better split up the way it was originally kind of created.
You wanted to feel the suspense as if you were watching it
week to week. Yes. So here is here's the lineup for last year, in case you weren't watching. It transitioned from. So it transitioned. It's very interesting the way that they list these on Wikipedia, because starting from January 16th to February 6th, from the 12 to 4 a.m. block, which, man, the block has really changed times a lot over the past few years. But now the current block is 12 to 4 a.m. It went from having, again, January 16th to February 6th, Dragon Ball Super, Attack on Titan, Sword Art Online, Alicization, Fire Force, Assassination Classroom, Gridman, Baby Dan, Naruto. I kind of know the show a little bit, yeah. Naruto Shippuden, Demon Slayer, and then February 13th, February 20th of 2021, it had a little tiny shift because Sword Art Online seemingly ended, and then they threw Black Clover back onto the block. And so then February 27th, it seems, to April 3rd, it shifted yet again, Tristan, because it seemed as if Assassination Classroom, the first season, then left the block. And Food Wars, Shogeki no Soma, took its place. So you and I know some of these shows, so just briefly covering them. Dragon Ball Super, fuck yes. Attack on Titan, fuck maybe. We have to get back into it. We have to actually podcast on it. It's been a very long time. I believe we're stuck in early season 3, so we actually have to, make the time to actually watch it and have a good time there, or maybe a bad time. I don't know. We haven't seen it yet. We have to do the review. When it comes to Assassination Classroom, have you seen it?
I've seen clips and I think I've read some of the manga.
So let's remember here the scale that I just made up right now at 1 in the morning is fuck yes, fuck maybe, and fuck no. I'm gonna go with a fuck yes.
Yeah, from like Assassination Classroom was fun from what I've
I
read.
saw the entire first season
Oh,
through
nice.
this airing. My brother recommended it to me, so shout out to you, Miles. He was like, "Oh, it's airing on Adult Swim. You should watch it," because he saw it, I assume, when it first aired a while back. So I checked it out on Toonami, and I was like, "Oh shit, I fucking love this." And there were like a few things that I was like, "I don't know if I fucking love this," but then it's a very strange situation because Tristan, I was gonna ask you your thoughts on Fire Force, and I think you and I have a similar feeling on the things that we don't like about both shows.
Yeah.
So now I'll get back to it in a second, but since I prompted you for it, tell me your thoughts on Fire Force. Again, remember, fuck yes, fuck maybe, and fuck no.
Mm. Well, it was funny. At first, it was fuck yes, and then it turned into fuck no.
Oh, went to fuck no. Oh, that's
Yeah.
awful. Okay,
Yeah,
so then I think
it
yours might have been worse than mine because here's the problem, right?
made me
So
sad.
if you aren't aware of the premise of Assassination Classroom, for any of you out there, I know Tristan, you know about it, but you might not know where it goes. So basically, there is a creature who is not seemingly extraterrestrial. I believe seemingly looks like made in a lab, but there is a creature that exists that is not a killer. It's not evil, and it knows human language. But it basically is talking to everyone, like the entire, not the entire world, but to at least the world's governments. And it's like, hey, listen, I have destroyed part of your moon, and in 1 year's time, I will destroy your entire world unless you assassinate me. So, because it's an anime, they were like, excellent, we're going to train teenagers or middle schoolers to assassinate you. Because what the creature wants to do is it wants to be a teacher. And so it's like, I want to teach these kids and help these young minds. And in a way, it's kind of a reference to a show called 3 Nen Bigumi Kenpachi Sensei, because that was a show, a long running Japanese live action show with a teacher who basically taught these kids, really got into their lives, nitty gritty stuff about helping them out. And sometimes the classes weren't really the best classes, but he really cared about them. And it was about Class 3B. And in Assassination Classroom, it's also Class 3B. So very much it's a reference to that in a way. But again, the joke is, every day they're basically trying to assassinate this creature teacher who looks kind of like an octopus squid combo thing. So
Yes.
yeah, who's yellow and it's very weird quirky powers and yada yada. No, so where this gets into fuck no territory for me, so maybe I should say it evens out into a fuck maybe, is one of the teachers, she is very flirty, which I, as a grown adult man, am fine with. However, she's flirty, somewhat weird towards the kids who are middle schoolers. Not
Right.
to them, but kind of like, oh, stop looking at me that way. And some of them are, but some of them aren't. So it's just a weird thing to have her say as often as she does.
Yeah, it's one of those jokes that's
Yeah.
like, I'm just not. It's not funny to me
And then it
anymore.
got weirder because apparently she's like a world class master assassin, romances and kills men across the world.
Oh, right.
She's
Yeah.
only 19.
Right.
And I was like, that's weird. Again, it's an adult man. I'm like, okay, but if she has to kill me, so be it. But
Yeah.
when it comes to like just the interactions with these middle schoolers, it has gotten better over time. But when it first started out, I was like, oh. So Fire Force for you, you've told me about this before. It was just accidentally tripping into boobs like every episode
Yeah, there
that
were
you
just
had seen.
gags, and there's especially one character that just like loses her clothing every other scene, and
Yeah. Oh,
I couldn't take it anymore. I'm like,
right.
it's not, it's not funny. It's supposed to be a gag, and like, okay, whatever, but like, it just got too much. I'm like, I can't. I'm
Right.
sorry. I
So
want to enjoy this series, but every time I see this happen, I just completely check out.
Yeah. Black Clover, fuck maybe. I have never seen it. I've heard great things about it. It's one of those things where if it came out when you and I were either kids or in high school, that would have been like our Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, Naruto, Bleach situation, right?
Yeah, I probably would have liked it a lot more if I were younger.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. So for you, it's a maybe or a no?
I honestly haven't seen enough of it to
All right.
really form an opinion.
That's why I'm putting it in the maybe. In my opinion,
Yeah.
only because I've heard such great things about it. I'm not here to knock it. I just, I haven't seen enough of it. Gridman is an anime adaptation, sort of not a continuation, but kind of, but maybe not. You don't have to see the original, but it would be nice if you did, of a tokusatsu series, a Japanese live action superhero series called Gridman that was adapted into English, very much like Power Rangers was, as Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. Ergo, this anime adaptation, even though it's a Japanese anime, and it got an English dub too, of course, by Funimation. That's why it's on Toonami. It got the SSSS, the Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad kind of moniker, even though like they kind of took that moniker, which was interesting.
Right.
The Gridman show is fantastic. I absolutely love it. Has you on the edge of your seat, wondering what the hell's happening. Because look, I'll give you. It happens in the first episode, everyone. So I'm not really spoiling anything. It's just something that might hook you into watching it if you haven't already. It's available on streaming platforms. You can watch it, Crunchyroll. Now that Funimation's fucking moved his shit over, you can probably see the dub on Crunchyroll as well. But anyway, the twist is the monster comes out, right? The main character, Yuta, transforms into Gridman, very much like the original show, through like an old computer named Junk. At the time, though, it was a piece of junk computer, but it was still modern to the times. Now it's actually like junk both in that it doesn't work and it's also very outdated because it's a 90s computer.
Right.
Yeah, Gridman takes place in the modern day, this anime. So
Right.
Yuta transforms, merging with Gridman, very much like Ultraman, because Gridman is created by the same company that created Ultraman Subadaya. So they merge to fight the monster. After killing the monster, which like completely destroyed the town, the next day, the town is not destroyed. No one remembers the monster attack, and people that were killed are missing.
Back. Oh.
Missing, like, no one remembers them.
Ah. Well then.
And so who's doing this? Why are they doing this? What is the point of this? How is it happening? And now that Yuta and his two friends can see the monsters in the distance that are not, they're like fossilized, they're not like born, kind of like ready to fight yet. Why
Right.
can no one else in town see them? And why does nobody remember the monster attack as if it like never happened? Nobody. When like the day before they were like, okay, Godzilla's here and destroying the town.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's a very interesting take on the genre, especially in anime form. And it had me on the edge of my seat, wondering like what's going to happen, why is this happening, and it was very intriguing. So that's a fuck yes from me, and I definitely suggest you should watch it, Tristan. Naruto
Yeah, I had
Shippuden,
another friend who actually really enjoyed it too. I've been
hell yeah.
meaning to watch more of it.
It's only 13 episodes. They did a
Right.
sequel, Dynazamon, but it's you can just watch Gridman for right now. It's all I've seen. Highly recommended. Shippuden, fuck maybe. It's just way too fucking long. All right, I'll read the manga every day of the week, but holy shit, is that series way too fucking long? Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
I just can't. I can't fuck with the show. Can't do it. So
Yeah.
fuck maybe. It's not a bad show. It's just I can't. I can't watch it. And then Demon Slayer. Fuck yes, even though I've never seen it, but so many people have told me. I'm not talking about like in this case, it's not like a like Black Clover where people that I don't know, but people online have said good things about it. So I'm like, all right, I don't want to slander that show, but Demon Slayer from people that I know swear by it. So I'm like, you know what? If you fuck with that, I'll fuck with it eventually. So I'm
Right.
gonna go with a fuck yes, even though I haven't seen it. Your thoughts?
Yeah, same. I've had plenty of people either asked me have I seen it or told me, you should watch this. So
Yeah.
and I've seen clips of the animation. The animation is fucking beautiful.
And Food Wars is a fuck maybe. Here's why, right? So I love the fact that it knows what it's doing and it's trying to be over the top.
Right.
So I'm like, normally I'd be like, look, you're trying to be over the top, so fuck yes. But the fact that it doesn't always stick to adults and goes to the teens, I'm like, fuck no.
Yeah.
but at least it knows what it's trying to be. Because when you look at Fire Force, it's trying to jump too hard between we are the most actioniest, action-packed fucking action anime you will ever see in your life, and oops, you tripped on boobs.
Yeah.
So it's a bit too, because at least Assassination Classroom isn't trying to be action; it's trying to be a comedy through and through.
Right.
If
Yeah.
you're not familiar, if when I described Assassination Classroom before, if you thought it sounded like the most terrifying thing you've ever seen, no, it's a comedy through and through. It's really like a slice of life kind of. These
Right.
characters are growing, are really growing up before our eyes. We're seeing them turn into, they're not adults, but like just turn into like kind of better, more whole humans, rather than just kind of, because with Assassination Classroom, the class is meant to be the class that, like, the E class. So I said 3B, but it's actually 3E. The E class that's meant to be like they're shunned compared to everyone else in the school. Oh, these are the losers. And they kind of grow in confidence and they become really cool characters over time. When it comes to Fire Force, the way you've described it to me, it's like, the characters are fine until that joke consistently happens.
Yeah.
And when it comes to Food Wars, it's just trying to be over the top, which I'm like, you know what,
Right.
that's fine. But because of the age range that they stick to, because it's a cooking academy situation, I'm just like, yeah, no, that's a maybe. Like, it would have been a
Yeah.
no.
Like I kind of like the slice. Like I've seen like an episode or two. Like I kind of like the slice of life elements of like them all
Oh,
talking about like dishes and stuff and hanging out
yes.
together in a dorm. But
Yeah,
like,
no, that's really fun. The over the topness of the fights are really fun. It's the oh, you've lost and so now your clothes are missing. If when that's on an adult, as an adult, I'm like, "Oh, right." When that's on a teenager, I'm like, "I don't feel comfortable
nope.
watching more of this." So that's really
Yeah,
what it
and I
is.
mean, I'm usually more for action shows anyway, so I'm kind of on the fence about it already anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So those are our takes on all of these somewhat newer shows, somewhat newer. Again, Assassination Classroom, Food Wars
New
started.
quote,
Well, it's new to Toonami, but
new to us
yeah.
and Toonami. Oh,
Well,
that's
that's
kind
the
of hilarious.
I know. Well, we don't want to sound like we're old. It's just one of those things where,
It's too late. We're already old.
listen,
Oops,
okay,
we're old.
shut the fuck up. I said sincerely to one of my dearest friends.
It's
Um,
okay.
I
It's
said
okay. Tom will still
sincerely.
be there with us.
I said sincerely to one of my aging friends. One of my oldest friends. Well, both of those sound bad. Um,
uh,
I look. I'm not trying to sound old here. I'm just saying that time catches. We just don't have the time to watch some things when they first come out anymore. So even though some of these, especially like Assassination Classroom, Food Wars, were the popular shows of 4 or 5 years ago, depending.
oh God.
Well, no, Assassination Classroom. At least the manga came out in 2015. I could
Oh
swear.
yeah, yeah. That's been
So
out for a
yes,
while.
but it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I've heard about it, but I don't know. I have no reason to really watch it. I just had heard things, and so once it was coming to Toonami, I was like, you know what? Let me have my DVR pick it up or something, and I'll see if I can watch it. So it's one of those things where somehow Toonami is introducing me to. Thanks, Tom. Introducing me to shows that I probably should have watched on Crunchyroll as they were airing.
Yeah.
But either way, though, when it comes to Cosmo Samurai, like I said before, very happy that we're doing these animated things. Again, it was a little weird that they had to clarify that it was out of continuity because they've never done something like this before. They've always been 3D affairs, very much like as if it's just our Tom that we're watching sitting there doing things. Having a ship attacked, running around. So in this case, to shift to a more 2D anime perspective, what they actually ended up doing was they got director Toshiyuki Sudo, who is actually known for some stuff that I think some of you have probably heard of. So one of them, not Naruto the series proper, at least originally, but he was an animation director for the Naruto, the third Naruto movie, which is the Animal Riot of the Crescent Moon Island. Okay, that is a I
That's
say
a
this is look as a
that's a
DBZ
title.
fan. As a DBZ fan, I shouldn't say shit, but I'm gonna. That is a long ass name. Oh, I think that might be the Japanese name because the one that I know it as is Naruto the movie. Oh no, no, he's done. This is strange. They've listed him as doing two different films: Naruto the movie 3, which is the animal one, as I mentioned, but it's also known as Wikipedia has two different names. Go figure. Naruto the movie Guardians of the Crescent Moon Kingdom. That's what I know it as. The third Naruto
Right.
movie from back in '06, by the way.
Oh,
Makes you feel old.
oof.
Yeah. He also did key animation on seemingly on the opening for Serial Experiments Lane. I've seen a little bit of that show. Very interesting show. He did the storyboards on episode 14 of Cowboy Bebop. And he also was a series director for a few episodes on Naruto Shippuden as well. So not a lot of roles, because there's only a few more other than that, but still enough that it's like, okay, he's been an anime director. This isn't like his first gig. The company they went with, though, is interesting. Telecom Animation Film. It's interesting because they've done a bunch of stuff that you've probably heard of. They've done Lupin the Third Part 2 back in the late 70s, early 80s, early 1980.
Right.
Okay, this is funny. They did the real Ghostbusters back in the day when you had a lot of Japanese companies working on US stuff. Same with, they did Tiny Toon Adventures.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the first season of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. I'm going to start naming more US shit than
Huh.
Japanese shit. DuckTales.
Oh, shit.
Well, hold on. The original series and season 1 only.
Right.
Gotta clarify here. Oh, this is hilarious. You ever saw Adventures of Gummy Bears?
No.
Well, up until season 5.
Oh my god, 5 seasons?
Well, it's from 1985 to 1990. Don't you fucking shit on the Gummy Bears.
I don't know, man. I just wasn't expecting a gummy bear show to have 5 seasons. I don't know.
Yeah, man. Well, guess what? Ewok's got 2 seasons, all right? So let's think about that. When something's cute enough, it'll get more than 1 season somehow.
Why did you have to?
What I find very interesting is they didn't just do like 1 season of Lupin. They've done Lupin OVAs, and they've even done Lupin the Third Part 4 and Part 5. Oh, and they're also currently doing, funnily enough, that Adult Swim actually got them to do this Cosmo Samurai. They're also doing Shenmue,
Oh, yeah,
which is
right.
which is currently on the block.
Right.
It seems as if TMS and Crunchyroll have put in some money into this, so I assume Crunchyroll makes sense. So something you might have missed, Tristan, because everyone owns everyone nowadays. Every fucking company owns every company nowadays.
Yeah.
Crunchyroll has money in this in Shenmue. Makes sense because technically Warner Media owns Crunchyroll.
Right.
So yeah, it's a lot of companies merging. I believe Warner Media owns Crunchyroll. It's just very hard to keep track, everyone. TMS Entertainment also did... Right, this is technically TMS. Okay, let me explain why this is throwing me off. Because TMS has done... I know their name because they've done a lot of shit. TMS actually ended up doing the Sonic show, Sonic X.
Right.
So that's why... And also... Okay, so a lot of this is starting to... Because I was like... Telecom Animation Film. I don't know who that is. Apparently, I do. They've just worked with a lot of other companies as well. Like, so they worked on Akira. When it comes to movies, man, the movies, Lupin movies, some Case Closed,
Right.
or technically Detective Conan movies, Inuyasha. Okay, so a lot of... So it's not like they're slouches. Not like that. They went to an established studio to work on this, which is fascinating to see, because
Because the animation felt like very familiar in a way, but like not like in a way that I could put my finger on it and be like, oh, I know who animated this type of deal, but just feeling very familiar.
You mentioned that the characters did too, and I laughed my ass off because you were like, your exact quote was, "There's something about them that feels familiar, but like nothing I can directly put my hand on, but a lot of kind of references, but not really." And I was like, are you trying to describe the word generic? Talking about these characters?
And like that's not to necessarily say it's a knock on this special either. It's just like it's a short little mini series for fun. So like
Yes.
it's kind of like a mixture of like the greatest hits type of deal, I guess you could think.
Very much so.
Like
And
the greatest hits in anime, and let's put them in, a 3-minute special.
Yeah,
or like a
one
15-minute special.
one character though that so part of him felt generic in that the bigger muscly guy who cries, that's
Oh,
something that I
right.
feel like
Yeah.
I've seen in anime. But here's the
Yeah.
thing though, his name though, Yasuke, being
Yeah.
clearly based on the Black Samurai Yasuke, fucking
Right.
phenomenal, because more people need to know about Yasuke, and I feel like a lot of people don't, or at least know that they were black samurais. They're like, oh, samurai, yeah, you look one specific way, and that's it. So I was very happy to see some type of portrayal, even though it's not a direct portrayal of Yasuke from back in the day,
Right.
historically.
But just the
But
namesake.
the namesake and having a black samurai, I was like,
Right.
fuck yeah. But his characteristics, though, being the bigger, maybe not always muscly guy, but a bigger guy who cries, that's something that we've seen in anime before. That's
Oh,
not
yeah.
necessarily new to the oh, he's bigger but he's really a softy. That's something
Yeah.
we've seen in other anime as well. So I agree with you in terms of their characteristics. But and funnily enough, looking at their hairstyles, not
Oh
specifically
God, yeah.
Yasuke, although a little bit of Yasuke, but especially the other two, it was all very much like the most anime of
Yeah.
anime that you could have ever animated in this anime.
Yeah, Surahime and Awaji with their
Yes.
hairstyles. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I felt like such a dick when Awaji died. No, I have to explain to you. When Awaji died, I felt like, or when, quote unquote died. We know that he's fine. But when he got shot, I said, holy shit.
Yeah, no, I did too.
But I
Like,
didn't say it like this. I said, holy shit. And I was like, oh my God, am I fucking Sonic the Hedgehog?
holy shit!
No, like I said it like,
That teenager just got mowed down.
like I don't know why, but the way I didn't mean to do a voice, but I just
Right.
said, holy shit. And I was like, wait a minute, hold the fuck on.
Which was kind of hilarious because, like, for a 13-minute special, it was like, oh wow, they killed off a character. I was like, damn. And then, of course,
I forgot.
he used the clone jutsu or substitution, and it's like, no, hey guys, I'm fine.
He's a
You know, is
fucking-
that believable?
He's a
And
fucking ninja.
I thought they were gonna do like the trope of like, then beating up the character who fakes his own death, but it's literally just Yasuke like hugging him and crying, and he's like, dude, get off me.
That was cute. And then, of
Yeah, no,
course,
that was great.
and then you have the stereotypical, actually, there is a bigger boss. This dinosaur-looking motherfucker.
Yeah, he looked like an evil fan drawing of like Greymon.
Oh, yeah, he reminded me of that dinosaur dude from Beautiful Joe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or even like the Star Fox Adventures, like there was
Yes.
an evil like
100%.
Tyrannosaur type dude too.
I've never played the game, or if I did, I played like a minute, but I've seen the art for that. Yes, very much.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was very interesting to see his character, because I genuinely thought he was a baddie guy. Like, I wasn't just like a random grunt. I thought he was like a big bad.
Right.
He looked it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. When he pulled off his tail to use it as a flail against them, I'm like, oh, all right, he's actually gonna seriously do this.
Yeah. So it was very interesting to see. It was very interesting that they also let the director, again Toshiyuki Sudo, kind of just do his own thing with this. Because that's literally a quote, by the way. Apparently, the executives, Adult Swim executives, William Street, were quoted as just allowing him to literally, quote unquote, just do what you want to do, which I enjoy, because it felt, even though, like, again, it felt very much like something we've seen before, didn't necessarily like cover new ground, in my opinion. It also doesn't feel like it has to be fucking, and I hate that I have to use this phrase, but mired in the lore of Tom, mired in the lore of Toonami. Well, because like there isn't a lot of lore with Toonami, but like you said earlier though, and I agree with this wording of it, Tom has been through enough shit. Tom has been through so much shit is the word that you use, and he has. Like, he's been through so much that, like, I'm happy that we can just see it's this own little cute little world happen through these anime shorts, and they can do as many of these as they want, and we can just watch our normal, Toonami during the during the
Tom
week.
can still chill in his chair and just stream the anime and not have his body ripped in half for the upteenth millionth time.
I think the reason why is, look, let's not beat around the bush here, right? Ratings are going down for everything. Television ratings. they're going down for Toonami as well. Because of that, Toonami's already being run on a shoestring budget. Now you got to take away the shoestring, or you're getting a smaller and smaller shoestring. You know, why do they have to go through changing the entire CGI ship or model of Tom or Sarah or any of that
Right.
when he's just going to be sitting, like I said to you before, I alluded to, sitting back in the chair and saying, hey, we have some more anime.
I love this job.
Exactly. Why? So I personally feel the only thing I felt weird about is, as much as I love the voice actors, and I'll talk about some of them shortly, that they got for this specific short or for this TIE. What threw me off is that there is no subbed anime on the block. So why would you not dub it in English? Now, I'm not saying it has to be the only version. I'm happy that they got Japanese voice actors. Also, many of these voice actors have worked with the telecom before and TMS before, so it makes sense they would actually get them to do this on the shorthand. Just have them, ready to book them. But it is a little strange to me that, like, you don't have subbed anime on this block yet. You're going to have this subbed on your block.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they figured like it was just a 4-part miniseries, like split up into 5 minutes, 3 minutes each.
So like I get you. It's just it really throws me for a loop, because at first I was like, oh, interesting. It's in Japanese, and I was like, wait, nothing else here is in Japanese. I was just watching something on Adult Swim earlier, say on my DVR, and so it just hit me while I was watching this. I'm like, nothing else is in Japanese. So it just really made me think about it. But I want to talk about Tom's Japanese voice actor, Yuki Ono. This blew your mind, so hopefully it does to all of you listening as well. In JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond is Unbreakable, he plays Josuke. So Tom and Josuke. A lot of other stuff in between, mind you, but man, does that really stick out to me.
Yeah, I saw the name too in the credits. I'm like, why does that name sound so familiar? And I couldn't think of it. And then, as Matt was looking stuff up, he's like, oh, it's because he's Josuke from JoJo. I was like, oh shit, all right, well.
And he's been in other stuff as well, tokusatsu stuff. So for me, I'm like, oh, what was he in tokusatsu stuff? And then I see that when it comes to Ultraman, he was Ultraman Belial, which is an evil Ultraman. I was like, oh. When it comes to Sentai, he's seemingly he's a character. I haven't seen Q Ranger yet, somewhat newer. Super Sentai got adapted as Power Rangers in the U.S. Don't know who he is in Q Ranger. I see his name. Don't know that character. Don't know if that's a spoiler. Won't say it. But when it came to Go Busters, which is a show from 2012 now, we're getting old. You were right, Tristan. He was a random monster of the week. So I was like, oh, nothing other than that one Ultraman. Doesn't seem to be something major as far as what I know. And then there was a show that I showed Tristan back in the day. I'm pretty sure I showed you an episode of it, or at least we talked about it. It is called Kankyo Chojin Echo Ginder. It is a tokusatsu, so a Japanese superhero show. He doesn't do a lot of fighting and punching. He does more energy beam stuff. And he is a character created just to talk about and promote helping the environment. Don't turn the AC up too much was actually part of an episode. They're shorts. They're funny to watch as an adult, like, oh my god, this exists. Especially weird as, like, the villains have, like, this weird, like, BDSM gear. I swear to god, look it up. It was weird. Now right, Tristan's then. Like, I feel like I should remember this show.
All right.
You were a little thrown off when I mentioned it. You were like, I vaguely remember that. Now you're like, now I want to remember. No.
Shut up.
Cut that last part out. But all jokes aside, seriously though, what's funny is he's not like he's not the villains, he's not like the random person, because there's only like one suit in the show, and it's Echo Ginder. He doesn't really fight monsters of the week. It's just the two bad guys being all Jesse and James from Pokemon about it every week, about like, we're going to destroy the environment, oh yuck. He plays Echo Ginder. So Josuke, Tom, and Echo Ginder, like this environmental superhero, and he played him. There's 3 shows. I thought there were only 2. There's Echo Ginder, there's Echo Ginder 2, just like two, Roman numerals, and 0X, and he's Echo Ginder in all three. Blows my fucking mind that he's been all three of these characters.
Now I want to see Tom, Josuke, and Echo Ginder protect the environment.
I guess I do too. I think we should end it on that. Can we really top that?
I guess not. I don't know that I can try and top that, but I did have two other things I was going to say, just real quick. Tom's design, like Tom's new suit that they build for him, which was cool, definitely has a Gundam feel to it.
Very much.
I love that they had to give him like kind of like quote unquote cute like beady eyes though. Like they had to give him like a humanizing factor, I suppose.
Yeah.
Still. And the other one was so I don't know if it's been in every TIE, but I feel like a majority of them, or at least like the beginnings, they always kind of had a Star Wars reference hidden in there.
And I wanna say I know they did in The Intruder and in The Intruder 2, and I believe also The Intruder 3. Those I can confirm off the top of my head.
Yeah, The Intruders definitely had them.
And I could swear one other one did. I could feel like the last one they did, the one where it was like the guy that was like had like a collection of toms.
Yeah.
I could like conveyor belt of toms. I feel like they made
one. Oh
yeah,
there. The Forge, right?
The Forge, thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, many of them, if not all of them, have had Star Wars references. Usually lines.
Yeah, just lines. So like this one doesn't necessarily have to be a Star Wars reference, but like the line, the way it's written, like is word for word, and it jumped out at me. So in the action scene, which was really fun to see actually, just everybody getting to do their thing and fight the robots. As Tom jumps back up and Tsuruhime is like, "Oh, nice job, Tom." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm full of surprises." I'm like, "That's literally Luke fighting Vader out of Empire Strikes Back." I was like, "Holy shit."
I want to go on Twitter and ask Jason DeMarco, like, are you a fan of Star Wars? And if so, I mean, you'd think, right? You'd think he'd be like, yes, after looking at the way Toonami has been.
Yeah, right.
Because he's running the Toonami blog.
He'll just be like, he'll be like, "What was your first clue?"
Yeah, right. Well, because like, yeah, some of those that we've talked about throughout the years, I'm like, oh, you're right, that is a Star Wars reference. This one is digging deep, and I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying it's digging deep.
And like, I don't know if it's necessarily like a deep one, but like
to me, it is.
I feel like it could be, or I'm completely wrong.
So before we wrap this up, you mentioned loving Tom's design before mentioning that it looks like a Gundam. I agree. I fucking love it. So then the big question is, if they made not a Funko Pop, nice little not a nice little cheap Funko Pop. I'm talking about like a $70 figure with like joints and shit.
Oh.
Would you buy it?
Oh, like maybe?
Maybe?
Like I'm tempted. Oh, and especially if you like he has like other stuff that you can pose him with too. Oh, that was the other thing during his fight. He literally does like the Iron Man like swivel around and like lasers. I guess it was Iron Man 2 when he tells Brody like, "Hey, duck," and he does like the laser thing and cuts through all the robots.
Yeah,
like it was Tom's like swords, like the daggers out of his gauntlets, but like he did the spinning laser move.
The action was not half bad, I have to say. It wasn't. It didn't tear the house down, but it wasn't half bad.
No, but like it was fun. It was like it. Like I guess it was like what I said before. It was like anime's greatest hits in a bite-sized 13 minutes.
It did what it needed to. Was I entertained?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Literally it did what it needed to do, and hopefully in the future we can talk about part 2. Maybe not take a fucking year, but we can talk about part 2 as it just, like I mentioned before, aired recently, because I was very interested to see, even though I knew there was a part 2, I still thought they would have concluded this, but no, they made this, looking at the end, very much to kind of lead into this part 2. So,
right, yeah.
Yeah.
So ongoing.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to see it. So happy to see Toonami doing something different.
Yeah, no, I am too.
All right, so love you all. take care. Before you go, you can see all the links down below, all the Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. Follow us on there to see all the different stuff that we do, because we do a bunch of other stuff, gaming related and whatnot. So, love you all. Take care, and tune in next time for something completely different. All right, everybody. So, see ya.
Next time.